Right now.
Right now.
It says we're live here. We just gotta wait for it to catch up on the YouTubes. Oh, good. It figured it out.
We're doing it.
I know. We always give it like a good 5 minutes for people to like. I just heard Rich's phone go off, so he knows that it's live, which means other people know. Yeah, exactly. Hi, Dana Vlogs. How are you? Yo, Jake, why are you in your car? Flinozo.
I'm working technically.
He's getting paid to do a drone show without being paid by the drone show.
That's not bad.
I'm not really getting paid, but I'm driving something like that. I'm gonna switch positions though. And everybody, welcome Jet, the DRL dude. Fucking
Jet the DRL dude. That's the new name, eh?
That's what they call me. DRL dude.
Ask for that on the back of your sweater this season. Be like, can you put DRL dude on there?
I'm just gonna change my name.
Jet the DRL dude.
FPV.
I bet you someone has that.
I would love to see that. I am going to
awesome.
change parking because this is not a good place.
You just really want to drive.
I did kind of want to drive. I'm not going to lie to you.
I don't know if you follow his page, Quadaholics, Jordan, but he goes live in his truck like 80% of the time.
Right.
And just chats to people. He's just like, hey, I'm outside today. How are you?
But it's mounted. It's like mounted though. You can't.
Where is it mounted right now? Just like on a.
It's sitting on the seat right now because I'm actually on my Surface right now.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, I'm all.
I thought you had it like, a chicken nugget holding up your phone or something.
Well, actually, my GoPro bag is holding up my Surface in like an okay position. I was hoping I'd be able to sit it on my dash, but my truck's not. I'm not in my truck.
Right.
Fair enough. Yeah, SAR Dronics, like, Jake loves his truck.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm going to McDonald's instead. Oh, no, I'm not. No, I'm not.
That's your change of position.
Right. Let's see.
Oh, no, man. All right. Well, yeah, you do that. You figure out where you need to be. We're going to talk to Jordan, or I will talk to Jordan.
I'm here.
So you started flying in 2013. Mm-hmm. And we were already talking about this a bit because I researched you, which I know sounds creepy to everyone else, but that's what you do when you're interviewing someone. And
you're dropping knowledge bombs on me.
Right? So you graduated from school with a degree in art, which led you into photography, which obviously led you into drones. Which I found super interesting that you actually started with freestyle / cinematic and then moved into racing.
Yeah. I mean, I've always had like a adrenaline junkie attitude about life. So it was one of the, oh, look at that.
He's so excited.
Outside. Anyways, yeah, I mean, like that for me, it was just like, oh, I want to chase my buddies mountain biking and skiing and stuff. I mean, that's what everyone started doing FPV for to some degree.
I can't see you now.
Filming cool things. This is actually nice.
He's so distracting, though.
That's kind of nice.
I told you, it's a very relaxed, like, we're like a family hangout show. But not family show, because that would be annoying.
Right.
Oh, Lenozo's saying your volume's low.
Oh, well, here.
Yeah, you can swear totally fine.
How's that? Is that a little better?
I think it sounds okay.
Yeah. Maybe your volume's low.
Maybe we're all yelling at him and you're like whispering. He doesn't get it. He's like, what? But
I did turn it up a bit.
I asked Vanover the same question that I'm going to ask you.
Oh, okay.
If you could only do one for the rest of your life, would you do racing or would you do freestyle?
Oh, that's easy. I mean, freestyle, flying, exploring, enjoying myself.
So even though you make less money, if any at all.
Yeah, because I don't do this for the money. Come on. What? If any FPV pilot says, I do this for the money, they're like...
They're a liar.
They're cuckoo. Yeah, you don't do FPV for the money. That's backwards.
Money in this hobby,
Yeah, exactly. That's
like
uh,
that's all coming out of my
I think you
pocket.
need to straighten out your motives in that case.
I think the way that you see social media, it's pretty obvious that people think that FPV makes money.
Well, yeah, and like
Think,
the
not
huge
that it
drive to
does.
try and get sponsors and all of that, but the true reality is there's only going to be like a dozen or two people who are going to be making a decent living or a livable living. So
I like the
it's
way
you're
you word that too, because it's a livable living. It may be a livable
yeah,
living.
you're not like, well, because you see all the time people are like, oh, that person just is selling stuff and they're running away with all the cash. And no one in FPV is running away with any cash. That's just not happening. They're dumping their own cash into something that they're passionate about, but like generally anyone that thinks someone's making a bunch of money, it's the other way.
Yeah,
They're probably spending a bunch of money.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I spend too much money.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, everyone's in that boat for FPV at least.
Yeah. No, that's the real lie. Is if someone
Right.
tells you they're not spending money, they're lying.
Right. But I mean, so back to the original question though. Yeah, I mean, the reason I would go freestyle, like long range, enjoying flight is because when I first started FPV, the purpose and the enjoyment that I got out of it was like, oh, this is awesome. Like that visceral feeling that we all love, right? Of just flight. So why would I throw that all away to do work? To me, racing is work. Racing
That
is
makes
my
sense.
job. That is, I train, I practice, I race because it pays my bills. I have a roof over my head,
Well-
and I mean, it's fun. It's fun. I do enjoy whooping some ass. But
I would say I like when you see on the DRL clips, like the little fights you guys all have with each other, like just that competitive
oh yeah,
hilarity.
I love that. And I would never throw that away. But if you had a gun pointed to my head and you're like, pick one or the other.
Yeah, you're going the other way every time.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to why I started doing all of this, and it's because I enjoy flying FPV.
So you won in 2016 and 2017. Do you think you have a chance at winning this year? Are you really going for a win, like hoping for the win, or what is your main strategy this year?
So for me, I always have a chance to win. It really, for me, it comes down to, how do all the stars align, right? Like last year, the stars aligned in such a way that Alex Vanover came in and totally just spanked all of us. And like, I'm honest about that. But there can always be other ways that align, if he has a bad day, or now we got Evan Turner in there. We got a bunch of DCL pilots who came in now too. Miwo, TC, and Collision. Those guys were in DCL. So we got a bunch of fast guys now. And luckily we can talk about that because that got announced today. Lucky you guys.
Awesome.
I would not have been able to mention any of this if we had
Tell
this
us
like
all
yesterday.
about it.
Well, so that's the thing is like now we have these really fast guys who everyone's going to be pushing each other, which is what we had last year. But there was a bit of a like a skill gap in terms of, well, I wouldn't say skill gap. It would be the amount of practice that Vanover puts in, like 100 batteries 7 days a week, is insane. That's just insane. And like no one with their right mind could keep up with that in my eyes.
No one that isn't him can do that.
Right.
That's
but
fair.
Now we have like to me it was motivation to be like, oh, someone is doing that. I guess I could probably do that too. You know what I mean? It was one of those situations where I don't think I would have put in that amount of effort until someone was like, yo, you have to put in this amount of effort to beat me. So that's where I found myself. The end of last year was 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, battery after battery after battery after battery, doing track practice, and it's crazy, man. I don't know how those race dudes do it like nonstop.
So,
Coming from technically the DRL dude.
Right.
DRL
FPV.
No, when I first got into the hobby and everything, and I started watching DRL, some of the only things that really drew me to it was the competitiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And you had some of the most hilarious little shindigs, like just the way you were kind of mocked, but all in fun and games, you know?
Yeah.
So I love that about you, to be honest with you.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm a skier. I started skiing when I was 3 years old. I used to ski race when I was younger. I've broken bones across my whole body skiing and all that. So like that's the attitude that I brought, you know. So that's the attitude that I'm just going to keep throughout life, and that's what the way I treat FPV is. It's, you know, we're all bros, we're all hanging out, like it's the camaraderie is number one. And you know, yeah, when competition hits, we're going to throw down and see who's boss.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're still all going to go to the pub and get a beer afterwards, you know.
As it should be.
Right. And it was, I think
unless you're only 19.
Right. Well, exactly. The scenery of competitive FPV racing is kind of changing. When I first started, it was a lot more that like we're all having fun, hanging out attitude, and now there's more and more and more. I want to be the best. I'm going to show the world I'm the best, and nothing's going to stop me attitude, which didn't exist as much before. And I think that's a good thing. You know, we're seeing more and more competitive. It's getting really good.
I'm glad you brought up skiing, because that was probably the coolest thing I learned about you in my research. Was that you actually flew your drone against a bronze medalist in a race.
Yeah, Victor Musafet. I think that's how you pronounce it.
That's honestly what I would have guessed. I would have said Mufat Gendant or Mufat Gendant or something like that, based on how it's written, right? Like that would be my guess. Who won? Because I saw it was at a film festival, but I couldn't find it on your YouTube, and I didn't get to actually see the video.
If you go to YouTube and search Solomon TV.
Solomon TV?
Yeah, Solomon. It's a ski brand, outdoor gear brand. But I think it's called Skier vs. Drone. It's pretty basic.
Yeah, that's what it said, was Skier vs. Drone.
Yeah. That it ended up being that the track that we made was, I actually couldn't fly the entire track, like top to bottom. So it's you know, TV magic. So the skier won because it's a ski company. But you know,
that's fair enough.
Whatever. We had fun doing it. It was like 5 days of filming and getting to like hang out with bronze medalists and Olympians, and you know, I'm never going to complain about losing to someone like that.
How did you get that gig? Like, did they come to you? Did you find them, or did they know you from skiing?
Instagram.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think they're like, oh, we need a drone person for this like idea that we have, and then they saw or either my Facebook page has like me skiing or something on it, and like, oh sweet, this dude's a skier. Oh, and he's a drone guy. Oh, and he's a world champion. Boom, done. Let's grab him. And now I've actually filmed with them 3 years in a row now. Every winter we have a shoot.
That's super cool.
Yeah. That was like straight just dumb luck. And that's how like I feel 99% of things happen in drone, and I mean life, you know.
Yep.
You know, right place at the right time.
What's your absolute favorite thing to fly? Is it the mountains? Is it the trees? Do you actually like buildings? You just don't have many that you fly? Like, what's your favorite?
No, I'm too much of a pussy to fly buildings.
Really?
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
How? What?
So for if we want to get all philosophical on this, I love flying mountains. That would be like my number one. If you're like, oh, you can only fly one location at a time, I'd be like, fly me to Alaska. Let's just like fly the mountains for the rest of my life. Buildings, the way I see it is I have a long way to go, a fall, right? So let's say I get caught by the FAA or I get in trouble. You know, I would lose my 107. I would lose, it would come back to DRL. DRL would get in trouble. Like the news article would be like, drone racing lead
DRL pilot. Yeah.
You know, fucked up. Right?
Broke rules, cheated, lied. Yeah, they definitely make it a big thing.
So then like it wouldn't just be me that got a bad name. It would like come crashing down onto these varying levels of people that I represent. You know, my sponsors like Hobby Wing and Azure and Spectrum, and you know, all these people would then have the bad name associated with them. If you know, this is if something happened. I'm not saying it will. I'm not saying it ever would, but there's still that like risk management, right? So for me, the risk of flying a building, which is, you know, to me, a building is just a big flat square mountain. So why would it, you know, I'd rather fly a sweet mountain with some chutes and some cliffs and stuff than a big flat mountain. You know, come on. And
I always find it amazing though, like how you just fly that no problem at all.
Yeah, it's fun. Well, I mean, that's what I grew up my FPV grow up. If you go to my YouTube and scroll to the very first video, my first flight. Yeah, here, let's see it. What happens if
I'm going to pull this one out. It's not your first one, but this is the one I wanted to show. This is the one that I was like, holy shitballs. And
it's actually, I might be able to get up there soon because the snow's finally melting. So
I don't know if it's playing well.
This is a location that we can't get to during the winter because it's the roads get snowed in. And then it takes forever for it to melt because the roads are all in shade.
But see, the irony for me is when you're like, oh, you know, the risk of a building. This takes balls. Like,
right,
you kiss your drone goodbye when you send your drone out for this flight.
But
like, you're just like, okay, I love you, come home.
Anybody, right?
No,
there's
it
no
won't.
People, there's no car, there's no property, there's nothing to damage. If I crash my drone, I crash my drone, and that's the only thing that will ever go wrong, right?
Yeah, that's fair, I guess.
Yeah, it's to me, it's this balance of what can I potentially cause damage to, and this potentially is the only potential damage is my own drone, and no matter what, I'm going to try and go back and find it, so I'm not littering either.
We were talking about that today, actually. We were like, what if you land literally right here where we were at? We're like, what if you land like right here? What are you going to do? Scale it? Like to try and get up?
There's actually a trail that hikes up to the peak there from the other side.
Wow. That's awesome.
But I have never lost a drone yet.
Oh my God, don't jinx yourself.
Never, ever. The one I did, okay, so that's like with a giant asterisk next to it. I did lose one over a mountain, but then it was found a year later by a hunter that then posted on some Facebook page or something and found a local pilot who he gave it to. And on the battery, I had written Jet. And then the local pilot hit me up and was like, hey, dude, I have your drone.
That's incredible.
I was like, dude, that was like a year and a half ago I lost that thing. And it just so happened. And I was like, dude, just keep the drone. You know, it's dead to me.
That's awesome.
I mourned it.
Yeah. Awesome.
I already mourned the loss.
So, like, I've never lost a drone yet with, like, big old quotation marks, right? Because that one came back.
But see, we're not as lucky as you. Like, not all of us have those cool things we can fly. Like,
no. Yeah, that's
for us, it's like the buildings are kind of the best.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right? Like that's
if you're in like Florida or like Indiana or anywhere.
Canada.
Well, varying parts of Canada because BC.
BC is good, but if you're not in BC, you got nothing.
Right. Yeah.
Like Alberta's flat, almost completely flat. Yes. Saskatchewan's flat. Like as you come across, Ontario's got hills, but we sure don't have mountains.
Hills. Yeah.
So you need to come to Montana is what you need to do.
Right. Montana's cool. There's some cool stuff out there. We saw it.
We wanted to do a US trip. I've said this 100 times. COVID just gets in the way of everything.
Well, or you need to just drive west to BC.
That's further than the US.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah.
It is. I can get to New York in a couple hours. Yeah. I can't get to BC that fast. BC's days.
But
which
BC
video did you say? Cool your first one?
Like very, very first. Like you just got scroll.
Flagstaff. Yeah, the Flagstaff blackout.
Yeah. So that was.
Or the Gold Hill blackout. Which one?
Flagstaff would be.
Actually, yeah. Sorry, this was 6 years. The other one was okay.
Yeah. So that my very first FPV flight was in the mountains. So it's like
awesome.
To me, that is kind of like this initiation point where I was like, man, where should I go fly this? Where's a really cool place to go fly a drone or experience FPV?
So
for the
this
first
is
time?
like your first edited flight or your first
No, that's
ever
my
flight?
first ever FPV flight. That's in auto level, or that's in horizon mode with a blackout spider hex. And I
Oh
did the
shit!
sweet blackout logo thing like all the cool kids were doing back in the day. Yeah, so that's auto level with 2204 sunny skies, 12 amp, ready to fly quads, fire ESCs, Naze 32.
Bro,
Big
I
old, like,
remember those setups just like it was yesterday.
did 600 milliwatt giant immersion RC VTX thing.
It was like 4 inches long.
Yeah, and the board
I'm super
cams
impressed you
that you had
remember.
to just like you kind of just had to hot glue them because there was no way to mount them properly.
Right.
Like this says it was 6 years ago. For you to remember your drone, every single component from 6 years is impressive.
Oh yeah, I mean that's like your first car, you know. Everyone
Right.
remembers their first drone.
Now, which Naze 32 was it?
Rev 5. This was pre
Ah.
Rev 6 days. I don't think Rev 6
Okay.
existed yet. Yeah. So the good one.
The good one.
Yeah. And before this, I had like a line of sight. I flew line of sight for like 6 months ish with like little micros and random little things with like KK2 board line of sight quads that I built because I couldn't afford goggles. You know, so like
Dude, my first goggles were like this
the
big,
big ones.
Quantums or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, luckily that was I had skipped those and went to those were the Fat Shark, the black ones.
Yeah, or not attitude.
Yeah,
Were they
attitude.
attitude?
Yeah, attitude.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had those. Those were my next one, and then I moved to HD3s,
Oh, nice.
and I haven't moved since.
That's a huge jump.
Huge jump.
Yeah, yeah. There. I mean, so like, that's my beginnings. Is like, and that's why going all the way back to the first question you asked, which is like, what would you do if you only could do one thing? I'd fly the mountains because that's what I started flying FPV for.
We're behind on the questions just because Jake can't see them. So Royal Mackenzie wanted to know if you still get the handshakes doing that. The cold out video, I'm assuming, is what he means, like the long range.
Yeah. I don't get handshakes anymore, but my heart feels like it's about to explode out of my chest all the time.
Oh, dude, I love the handshakes.
Yeah. It's like part of that feeling.
Yeah. So
my hands don't really shake, but like I need to like do breathing exercises to calm myself down. 'Cause, I mean, the adrenaline hit is so crazy. I mean, you guys know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I've never flown anything even close to that though. Like I just started flying over a creek. Like I was
but
like, oh, this is cool.
Like if it's something that's outside of your comfort zone.
Oh
like,
yeah, no, I'm totally freaking
goes.
out.
Yeah.
Oh man, I just did the whole go back to my hometown and everything and fly all these things that I flew before. Now there was this trestle that's a good like 150, 200 feet long.
Right.
And it's a good 125 feet high.
Yeah.
When I first did that, oh my God, don't talk to me for 5 minutes after because I'm not going to be able, my teeth are chattering.
You had to like sit down and be like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. I went and flew it just last weekend now, and it was just like it was cake, you know?
Yeah. Because you've been there, done that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I do have a question. So you were actually one of my deciding factors on wanting the DJI setup when you did the long range test.
Yeah.
How the fuck do you get it to go that far and have that clear a video? That is insane. Is it the True RC that's doing that, or is it?
Yeah. The directional antennas are for sure big part of why that worked.
Mm-hmm.
I actually haven't flown further than that with the DJI since, to be brutally honest. I know a bunch of guys who have, but what I ended up happening was I only have room for analog or DJI in my backpack, so I have to like choose one or the other. And for long range,
that's my issue.
Right. And for long range, analog's just safer.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like I have DJI on like freestyle quads and like squirts and geysers and like cine quad stuff. But for long range specifically, like with DJI, just the fact that you could just lose video would be so scary, man.
Yeah.
And like with analog, you could lose video, but you could still like punch it, and it would come.
Yeah,
back.
you just throttle up and like you're like,
Right.
hopefully I get signal again.
Right. So there's
Yeah.
that, like there's a much sharper cutoff with DJI, and it's just not worth
losing your drone.
Yeah.
It's more like the footage and the hike to go get it.
Like
you don't
I said,
want to.
I'm a total wussy when it comes to like losing my stuff. Like I don't want to lose my stuff, man. That sucks. You know, I hate building. So,
but I will say that was the most
impressive
impressive long range test I've ever seen on a DJI.
Yeah, that one was. I was just like, oh well, I guess we could hike to any of this where I'm flying. So I mean, and that's a big rule of thumb for me is like, can I get to it if it does fall out of the sky? And that will like decide if I actually go for it or not.
Lanuza wants to know when the simulator racing starts.
If you go to drl.io, I believe there's a schedule. NBC Sports Network, May 16th, 2:30 p.m. Eastern.
There you go.
Is level 1.
So soon.
Yeah. Oh, that's like
3 days.
Oh wow, that's very soon. That's Saturday. Saturday.
And then
It starts on Saturday.
Quadrophenia wants to know if you're flying the tiny trainer.
No, I have not. I mostly just haven't had time to like get one and build one and all that. But I want to. That thing looks really rad. Like Evan did such a good job on that thing. That
he's pretty innovative when it comes to his stuff.
Oh yeah, well, and the guy who's doing the design for him, Mondo, he's really good with like CAD and that kind of drone engineering. Yeah.
Tom John in the chat's freaking out because we had a whole discussion recently about analog and DJI, like the verses, and he was talking about it in a much more scientific way, and everyone in the thread on Facebook just didn't see it his way. So he's like, that's what I've been saying, and then Linuzzo's saying the same thing. So seems like everyone's agreeing with you about that one.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm not a person who's like I'm in one camp or the other. Like I have both and I use both regularly. They're two different tools for the job, right? Like you can have a screwdriver and a drill.
I get it.
You're not
they both
going
do
to
the
throw
same,
away
but...
the screwdriver once you have the power tool. No, it's like, you're using both for different purposes. For me, DJI, you can see more, which is like, so like, for example, the ski shoots that I do, I'd use DJI for all of that. And that's because I can actually see the snow, which in analog, you can't really see the snow. It's just like field of white.
Yeah.
And you can actually see the skiers. And you can see the trees, and you can see, like
you have vision, period, right? Like you can see.
Yeah. So like for that kind of stuff where I'm filming, or if you're just like a freestyle pilot and all you do is like cruise around your park or explore trees and forests, then yeah, DJI is for sure 100% the way to go. If you're racing, or if you're doing long range, like super duper long range, which I actually don't really do. Analog's the way to go.
Have you raced with the DJI setup? Corey Manna wants to know.
I mean, not seriously, no. And I don't think I
But
ever
you've
would.
tried it.
Yeah, I mean, I've raced around a track and stuff, and like it works, but you're definitely like limiting yourself. It's, I mean, like if you guys understand video game stuff, it's like a 60 hertz monitor versus 144. It's
seconds, and that matters.
I just recently found out why that matters.
Yeah, well, it's just the amount of information you get, right? And so
it's a difference of 5 kills versus 20 kills on Call of Duty.
Right, exactly.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We play Call of Duty usually after the show at some point. That's why.
Okay.
That's why
but
that comes up.
I mean, it's like that. Like it's yes, you can make it work for racing, but it wouldn't be the best.
So what's your go-to setup right now then?
Well, it depends. Again, everything.
For freestyle. And then what's your go-to racing?
So freestyle is my Super G frame, project399.com. It's out of stock, so don't even try and go there. But I sold out the other day. But it's just a 5-inch bus frame. There's absolutely nothing special about it. It is just a drone freestyle frame. It's got a big bus body and it's got 4 arms, and you mount motors to it and fly it with 5-inch props. Like, yeah,
I like it.
yeah. So I mean, that's what I fly. I'm working on a new one that's going to be like a 6-inch that I fly on 5-inch. I also have the Super G Plus, which is a 7-inch dead cat, but I don't really ever fly that thing because I never fly that far where I need it. So that's another topic.
So you actually mentioned that you're going to be doing a 6-inch with 5-inch props, right?
Yeah.
So do you believe in the butter quad?
What's the butter quad? I'm going to pull up butter.
Being smoother, like having 5-inch props on a 6-inch, making it smoother.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a matter of like a like a cheater bar for when you're trying to get that nut loose. It's more stable, or like a wide body kit on a car. I'm a car guy, so I think in those senses, yes, a wider stance is gonna be more stable. That's just the way it is. Especially when you have cleaner air, right? When the props aren't like tip to tip and they're spread out, they get some cleaner air, everything's smoother. You know, it just gives everything a bit more room to work. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So that's
Tom
part of
John-
actually why I'm doing that. For your reason. Butter quad.
For your butter quad.
Yeah.
So now you can be the DRL dude with butter quad.
Right.
So Tom John wants to know if you have any fundamental things someone should know starting out with long range.
So I forget what he called it. I have a good friend of mine, Benson, who flies long range. I'd consider him my long range guru, and many other people's long range gurus. He is very methodical in the way that he approaches long range. And I think that's something that a lot of people skip, and that's why a lot of people lose drones early on when they start flying long range, because they go, oh, I want to go far, like, whatever, Gab 707, and then boom, you fly over a mountain, and then you lost your quad, and you just were out $1,000 because you didn't take your time to actually like do the proper
the
steps.
situation and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's going back to car stuff. Like, you don't just jump in an F1 car and you're just as fast as Lewis Hamilton. No, like, you start with karts, you start with Miatas, you start with but you got to like work your way into it, right? You can't just go from 0 to 100. I can't remember but he wrote like a 7-page Google document about how to start long range.
Speaking of long range, I just had when I went back to my roots to go fly all these things, there was a specific tower that I wanted to get to, and I was using one. I think it's called a helical antenna.
Yeah, the spiralies.
Yeah, and I was using the Fusion, but the Fusion doesn't necessarily 100% work without the new module.
Right.
Mod upgrade.
Yeah.
Well,
I didn't really need that fancy stuff for long range, though.
I noticed.
Yeah.
I just recently noticed. Like, I learned a lot this last couple of weeks. I was actually talking to Hugo, and he recommended I got the sniper antenna and stuff like that. And I think it was the helical that was bad, or something. But I will say, like, antennas do matter. In my opinion, because
receiver antenna matters.
I was so disappointed in myself. My confidence went down the drain because I could see my reception going down, and I was like, oh well, shoot.
Yeah. What do you
But
do?
then, yeah.
Well,
so
and that's the other thing is like knowing when to stop, right? Like a lot of people who start out long range, like they drive up to a mountain, they're like, I'm going to fly to the top. And they fly halfway up and their signal starts going bad. And what that should tell you is, oh, my signal is getting bad. I'm not going to make it all the way to the top of the mountain. But the stubbornness of wanting to get there. You just keep going, and then boom, you're out $1,000 because you lost a GoPro and a quad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely like a big part of that methodical nature is like knowing when to call it quits. It's when, and that's a big part of racing too, is like, should you go for that pass? Like, are you pushing too hard that even if you get that pass, are you gonna crash out? Then don't go for that pass. Like, would you rather get second place or last place because you crashed out? And
Yeah.
it's having that self-control to be able to be like, oh, I'm not going to make it. I should like come back, reassess my gear, and I'll try it tomorrow or the next day or a week or a month from now. Like, I have projects that I've worked on for like 3 months that I like wanted to fly that. I tried like 24 times to get that line, but I just couldn't because the weather wasn't right. There was a tree in the way, so I had to wait till fall so the leaves fell. Like, there's always something that you have to take it into the whole system into account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I had to wait for antennas, and I'll be back like next month.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you recognize that, and that's like a huge part of something. A lot of people miss that, is like just knowing when to stop or when to wait.
Corey Manno wants to know if you're doing Flight 1, Beta Flight, Emu. What are you running on your?
That's another fun one. So I generally run Beta Flight, but I'm always consider myself race flight curious. Because I get a giggle out of it by saying that. But I always come, and it's like race flight in my head because that's what they used to be called. And I can't get over the habit of calling it Flight 1.
I still call it race flight.
I know. But I'm good friends with Nick Willard, who's on the coding team there. And I like what they do in terms of like their process, in terms of like flight control process. But I can never get it to work, dude.
Oh my God. I'm so happy.
I don't know what you guys fly, but like I have tried every time, like every 6 months, I like buy a flight controller or a race flight controller. I wire it up. I'm like, sweet, let's do this. I go out to the backyard and arm it, and it like into the sky, and I'm like, let's do this. I'm done, and I throw a Beta Flight in there, and I'm ready to go, right? And then I go and fly with some buddies who fly race flight, and it's the best flying quad I ever flown. And so then I like get curious again, and I build another quad with it, and I just can't get it to work right, and I bail. And I've done that probably for like 3 years.
I've had the same experience, like full on same experience ever since before the OSD and everything. But I built one for my buddy, and it flies fantastic. He flies it great. He loves the way it flies and everything.
Yeah,
but
I love the way
anytime I build one, don't like it. It doesn't work right, or it does this jitter thing, and I've had them shoot to the moon.
Yeah. So I really like it. I like the Falco X. Like I just built a race quad, one of Evan's the switchbacks, the 533 switchbacks, and I put a mini volt in it, and it was a pain in the ass because there's like you can only use the 4 connectors. So there's literally wait, let me grab it. So this is it right here. There is, see this mess of wires coming off the top plate? Like that's just having to repin 4 connectors because they come pinned for like stuff that's 3 years old that no one uses anymore.
Oh,
so
no.
You have to like take an X-Acto and unpin everything and repin it a different way. And I took like 3 hours to repin it correctly and make all these weird, crazy Y harnesses. And then my camera browns out.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Like whenever I do like a sharp turn, and I don't feel like repinning a bunch of pins again that I built this a month ago. And it's just been sitting like this with the top plate off for a month now because I
just have a buddy build it for you in race flight. It'll work just fine.
Yeah, it will. That's what I should do. I should like send it off to someone.
Ian Pluska wants to know if you have any thoughts on Beta Flight 4.2.
I just tried it. I'm actually still on 357. I'm one of those guys that just like,
If it's not broke, don't fix it.
dude, it works really well and it's easy to tune and it flies good enough for me. And every time I try 4.2 or anything 4.0 and up, I either get really hot motors, I get a lot of like fluttery jitteries, or this like the newest one I actually built it the last weekend. It's the butter quad, the 6-inch arms with the 5-inch props, and it like if I let go of the throttle, it just does this like whoa, 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 slow oscillation, and I jacked the PIDs. I put the P on pitch and roll to 120, and it still did it. And I'm like,
Damn.
I don't want to keep going higher than like.
Yeah, that's
You know,
high.
those are really
You're like,
big
no.
numbers. I'm in the triple digits, man. Like I don't want to. So I need to just work on it. It's one of those things that I need to just like spend a day or an entire weekend learning. And the thing is, I know how to tune 357, and I don't feel like learning because I just want to fly. So
The only thing that really bothered me about the new stuff is you have to program all of your VTX stuff into it instead of just hitting tramp and then it working,
right.
or TBS
Right.
and it working. You
So
have
I
to
still
go in
use
and program it all.
like Unify HV Pros, the big honkers, because
Really?
you just like click the button and it goes to the channel it's supposed to go to. So I could just fly. Like I hate dealing with those like, and that's why I'm always so interested in race flight. Because have you guys tried Falco X yet?
I stick to beta flight for
Unsuccessfully.
everything.
So
Unsuccessfully.
So Falco X, it's really cool because you don't need a computer to set it up. You plug in the quad and it goes like auto detecting your receiver, and it's like doo doo doo, and it auto detects your receiver, and then it's like do the roll stick to the right, and you like do those circle sticks, and it calibrates it, and then you like hold it on its nose, and it calibrates that's the front, and it's like okay, I'm spinning motor 1, is that the correct motor? And it's all in the OSD.
That's cool.
And so it just walks you through the setup, and it takes like 5 minutes, and then the quad setup, and it's ready to fly. And like I that's what I meant by like I like how they do their stuff. Like that as a concept is really necessary if FPV
It's user friendly.
Yeah, it's really easy and user friendly, exactly. But it also and what I hate about Betaflight, especially the newer stuff, we have more and more and more settings that if you know, you know, and if you don't, you don't, and you're screwed if you don't know about certain settings. And that's why I love 357 so much, because you like flash it, you turn on dynamic filtering, and then you just PID tune, and there's nothing more to it. But with like 4.2, I had to like flash my ESC to 357 or 37 or whatever, and then I had to turn on bi-directional, and then I had to turn on idle, dynamic idle, whatever, and I-term relax, and the sliders, and the D-term filtering, and the feed forward, and the whisk whatever filter, and the dynamic notch, and like there's like 80 different settings that you need to know how to set up for it to fly well. And I don't know how to, I don't want to learn how to do that stuff, because it feels like it just keeps getting harder and harder and harder to set up every time they add new features. I just want to
I watched Mad Chiller. He has a show on Chad Miller after ours. Like actually it starts at 10. And they had one of the coders, I guess, for beta or Emu Flight, on last week or the week before, and I watched maybe 45 minutes straight, and I was like, I cannot watch this. I have to rewatch this. Like it is so much more in depth and complicated than I ever realized.
Yeah, if you go to like the Betaflight 4.2 tuning guide. Let's see. Let's just check it out real quick. It says the new settings. There's like all these crazy, like what is feed forward boost and feed forward spike limit and feed forward interpolation SP, and like what are all these things? What do they mean? And
I do wonder sometimes, like because when I had 357, I had great quads. They fly great and everything. And don't get me wrong, my stuff on 4.1 right now works great as well.
Right.
But why do they keep changing things when it doesn't feel like it's broken? You know what I mean?
Right. Right. And I mean, I get that it's like they're chasing this
innovation or something.
Right. Right. The next level. But like I term wind up and I term relax and I term relax cutoff, and there's so many settings now that I can't keep up with. And I mean, Raceflight has the same problem where they're like, "Oh, what's up, dude? What's up, Aaron?"
I was like, I'll pin
fly.
it and you'll see it.
Yeah. We should go fly. It's nice out now. But we should keep our distance. But like Raceflight, the problem that they have is they're like whisper mode. And you're like, what the fuck is whisper mode?
I don't even know it.
Like, what does that even, like, at least Betaflight, they try and name things to, like, I term relax probably has to do with I. What the fuck is whisper mode? You know, or like, yeah. So they all have their problems, but that's why I like 357. It's just like, it works. All you have to do is tune. Maybe I should go back to KISS. I used to fly KISS back in.
I hear good things about KISS and Emu Flight.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I should check them out.
Mr. Crowley wants to know what the weight of your racer is and the size motors you use.
The weight of the 5-inch racer?
I think he means whatever your normal race drone is.
So I don't have a normal race drone. I have a tendency to never have race drones, and then a race comes up and I build 3 random quads and then maiden them at the races and have a terrible time. What I should do is what I tried to do. I have like 3 of these that I was going to build and have a race fleet and yada yada, but then, you know.
Life.
Yeah,
you got other things to do.
Right. But I think these are literally like Evan Turner copies. Like I'm using a mini Volt. I'm using the Hobbywing 20x20. The only difference is the motors, but you know, motors are all the same. So.
Tom wanted to know if you use GPS or RTH safety features ever when you do your long range.
No, never.
You're so brave.
Well, so when I first started, that stuff didn't exist, right? So I flew for like 3 years before they even came out with GPS on Betaflight, or 4 years long range. So like I can fly long range without it. I think GPS is really, really good. Because it tells you how to get home, and that's most of people's biggest problem is they like fly down a mountain, they turn around and they're like, where am I? You know?
Yeah, you need to have your orientation skills a little bit.
It's really scary when that happens, when you're like, oh shit, I don't know.
I feel like especially when you're above the clouds, right? And then you're trying to come back down into like a opening or a pocket.
Right. So like having the home arrow is super helpful for that. But then I don't use return to home because for me I have it to cut 0. I had to make it D's.
Right.
Yeah, but I have it just to cut 0 throttle so I can go find it again. For me, that's really important, is having the smallest search radius possible for if something does go wrong. Right?
Do you make them at least bright and like visible, or are you making your life harder and making them like
blacked
dark?
out, like because I'm not.
So
we had one buddy dunk a quad, and it was black with red props. I think the props are red. You couldn't see it in the river, like because it was dark water. It's so stupid.
Yeah,
so now we
rivers
like
are hard.
You can't see, but mine are all hot pink duct tape. Oh, you can see if I lean back apparently. Does that make sense? But mine are all hot pink, and then that way I can find them if I crash. And that is the only reason why I did hot pink.
That would be smart. I am not smart.
No, you're just better at it, and you're brave, and you're confident in your equipment, and you know your area.
I know where it is, and that's so like for me, return to home is not good for me because if I did have something go wrong and I had to use it, my search radius just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then if it doesn't come back to you, it's straight up gone. Like there's no hope because you don't know where it went, right? Mm-hmm. But if it cuts throttle, you're like, all right, at least it's you can
somewhere
do a
here,
walk and. Like I've spent like weeks going back to a place, just like looking, and eventually you'll find it if it's there.
So it sounds like you've done this a lot.
Yeah, I've done that a lot.
I think the benefit is your locations are so remote that no one's going to walk up really and be like, oh, look, a drone.
No.
Whereas
no.
some of us losing it in the city, it's like, okay, if it's gone today, it's gone. Like, you're not
Yeah,
going to be the
yeah.
one that finds it.
Yeah. And that's where, like, if you have, like, Hellgate buzzers or that kind of stuff, that's helpful. The things that just scream if it doesn't move
Yeah.
for a minute. I don't have those either because I'm not very smart. Like, these are
You're just
things,
too
I love
brave.
it, man.
This is
I love
these
it
are
though.
situations.
It's completely raw. You know what I mean?
Well, it's one of those, like, do as I say, not as I do kind of situations.
Yeah. And then I was saying when he asked Gab 707, he was like, no, make sure you have GPS and know what you're doing. Like, don't just go.
Yeah. Yeah. And, like, I agree with Gab that if you are new to long range and have never flown long range before, absolutely, you should have a GPS. You should have and the thing a lot of people skip is having a spotter. Not in the sense that they can see the drone, but in the sense that they can tell you where you should not go.
Yeah, like
So,
what
like,
areas you were at
yeah.
or where you shouldn't fly, maybe.
Like,
based
hey,
on what they're
man, don't
saying.
keep going left because you'll go behind the mountain if you do. So that you can focus on flying and they can focus on
Navigating.
where you can fly and how
Yeah.
to get home. And then, you can work as a team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then I always go with a spotter, whether it's my 14-year-old son or my wife or my buddy Kyle, my buddy. Wow, I can't even think of names right now.
He's going to kill you.
I know he's gonna kill me.
I'm going to tell them all to watch it from here.
FPV. No, don't do it.
Kyle's in the chat. Kyle's going to tell them all that you forgot who they are.
I know, Royal. I should remember his name because we call him King in our chat. But yeah, I mean, we always have somebody with us, and I think that's pretty vital, even at a park. To be honest with you, to be like, hey, there's a soft target, or hey, I can't see you anymore because you're really fucking far away.
Right.
Well,
and then they should be in the goggles, right? Then your spotter should be in the goggles for long range.
That's a good idea.
So what we do, man, I really wish I could find that document. But it's like, what you do is you get a general sense of the mountain, and you know that they're flying over here, and there's a rock fall right here that if they go behind, they're gonna lose their drone, and you go do this with the goggles. Figure out where they are.
Oh, Royal's gonna give you shit for that.
You get in trouble.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you fly TBS, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the guys in here was actually asking, does his Tango 2 even long range, bro?
What do you mean? Can the Tango 2?
Yeah, he has a Tango 2. So 250 milliwatts, right, is what they're running?
That's more than plenty.
I would think plenty, right?
I've never in my entire FPV career ever gone over 500 milliwatts on my module. Ever.
That's good to know.
Yeah. You especially if you're in, the only time you would need more power is if you have a really high noise floor. So let's say you're hanging out around a bunch of cell towers and you really want a long range, then yeah, you might need more wattage. But if you're in the mountains and there's nothing, or in a cornfield and there's nothing, then you don't need more than 250 now.
Yeah, that should help boost people's confidence. Because I mean, even me, when I moved to Crossfire, latency boosted my confidence right away. But then the long range stuff, I was running 250, and now I've got a 2-watt module that I've never gone over 500 with myself.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I have one of the 2 watts too. I've had it since we had the race in Dubai. That's when I got that.
Oh, nice.
So it's old as hell. It probably doesn't put out what it says it puts out anymore because I've unscrewed and rescrewed the SMA 3,000 times. But it.
How was that, by the way? The race in Dubai.
That's a whole nother shit show. That's a.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can be a different episode.
Before you do that, Tom wants to know if that's the name of the article.
Sort of. Yeah, that's it. It used to have a different name, but he changed it, and I couldn't remember.
He found it. Sorry, he was looking for it since you mentioned it, so I figured at least let him know if he found the right one.
Yeah, so that's my buddy Benson, who I go fly with frequently out here. He even has a website? Dude, I didn't know you
Look at this guy. Sounds like me
You're
with
both
my,
bad
my
about
buddy.
not being involved in your friends' lives. This is a guy thing, though. I blame
Yeah.
I
this
will
on
tell
men
everybody
being
right now,
weird.
I am the worst friend ever.
Yeah, I'm the same way, man. That's just like in your own little world.
Yeah.
Well, so that's it. I helped him write some of this. It was like a Google Doc that we all kind of just like spilled our words onto. But it's anyone who wants to get into long range should absolutely read this, because this is a guy who's been flying long range since like the Disco Pro era, like TBS, So it's really thoughtful and methodical, and if you follow these general rules of just like planning, of like you have how far it is, what possible like obstructions there are, you're standing in a place that's easy to get back to, legality, all of that, like it's there's a crap load of information there that's definitely helpful.
That's awesome.
Thanks for sharing
man.
that with us.
Yeah. And then he also did a talk, I know it's gone now, but the FPV show podcast with Gapit, he was on there and talks about all of this. So if you want to go back and listen to a podcast that's now dead.
It's not dead. They're just not running episodes, but
right.
the archives are
Yes.
there.
If you want to go back in the history books, Benson was on there and talked about long range. I think it's called The Gentleman's Guide to FPV Long Range or something.
That's a cool name, actually. I like that.
So, for you, do you use a ground station for your long range, or do you?
I used to, but now I just use like my module,
regular module.
Yeah, because they're good nowadays.
Yeah.
What
do you use?
The immersion RC, whatever it's called. What's the red one? Rapid fire.
Rapid fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's because that's what I have. And the biggest key is the X2 Air, the True RC X2 Air. Like if you want to fly long range, go buy the X2 Air or one of the other True RC.
So you're telling me I just made mistakes?
No. You got the
True RC makes great products. I think you're fine if you get any of their products.
Yeah.
Well, Hugo himself, for penetration, he told me the sniper would be
it is
pretty outstanding.
So the X2 Air is wider. It's more like it's like 120 beam width or something, or 150.
Oh, damn.
So it won't be as like narrow, but it will let you kind of fly right here.
Yeah.
But for long range, the further and further you get away from yourself, the smaller the angle you need.
So I got that.
I
got the sniper for.
Yep.
So I got the sniper for my analog setup, and for my DJI, I didn't, because I'll be honest, I was being a cheap ass. I got those orcs, the shield, the ORP shield. They're like two shields on each side. They're just two patch antennas on each side.
Yeah. I know.
They're what
Any
you see people
opinion on
use that
those?
aren't using True RC.
I'm assuming those are the same as just like a patch antenna. So those are fine. Anything really directional is gonna be good. You just don't want to be using omnis.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then you'll see, like, as you fly more and more long range, you'll find out the way in which you fly. So let's say you find out you actually like flying in a wider area, like left to right in front of you instead of just straight ahead. Then you want to go to something like an X2 Air. Or if you notice that you're only flying like straight out and straight back, then you'd go, you keep your super directional.
Okay.
So it's one of those things that you gotta tune your gear to what you're gonna be doing instead of just like that person does this, so I'm gonna buy that, because maybe you're not necessarily gonna be doing the same thing. That
now, do you personally rep True RC then?
No. I buy all my stuff from him. I just really like his stuff, and he gave me, I get a little bit of a discount from him because he's the man.
Oh,
I think I helped sell a bunch of those DJI.
I love that
Seriously,
I like
use
the
a
honesty
coupon.
there.
Use
Yeah.
a coupon, dude.
So
But
we
no,
won't talk too much True RC because we're actually having Hugo from True RC on next week, and he's going to be
Oh,
talking about antennas and all of
that's
that.
gonna be good.
So that's
Yeah,
follow
I'm
up with
excited.
any of those antenna
Yeah.
questions next
Yeah.
week, including Thomas. We're going to let you talk about. Well, I guess he wanted to know your opinion on VTX antennas. If you have any thoughts on
yeah,
it.
VTX antennas, you just want to like throw in whatever good, as long as it's decent. So like the singularities or an axis or whatever. The VTX antenna is a lot less important than the receiving antenna. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So just throw on like a little
placement,
Omni.
though?
Huh?
What about placement?
Yeah, placement's very important. Placement
Okay.
as so here. Well, let's do show and tell.
Now that your office
Yeah.
is all organized and you can find things.
So, for example, what? No. So like, this is one of my long range quads, and like, see, I have this really, really long antenna that's supposed to be bent slightly, but see how far it is away from everything?
Yeah.
Like it's way out there, right? So this is gonna get you way better signal than if it was just like stuck on the butt, right?
Yeah.
So if it's like sticking out right here, then so what you want to do is you take your quad and you just spin it around. At any point that you can't see your antenna, you're gonna lose video, right?
That's a dead spot, basically.
Right. So like if you're looking at it like right now, like okay, when I'm flying back to myself, you're gonna lose video. Like that's guaranteed. So I mean that's the simplest method to see if you're gonna lose video or not. And so if you have it really far away and look, it's coming back to yourself, you can still see the antenna, right? It's sticking way up there. And yes, if you pitch back and you're like coming back at yourself all weird like this, you're gonna lose video, but who flies like that? So
No, that's awesome.
That's like the really simple method is just like take a quad and be like, can I see my antenna at as many places as I possibly can?
Dude,
and
I
that's
love
the
it.
True RC matchstick on that one too, isn't it? Like the longer matchstick.
I'm a big fan of these.
Yeah, I found them pretty durable.
Yeah, I really like that they're durable. They look cool. Always important. And because I was going through like $100 worth of antennas a month. Because I was just like, because they're $20 each.
Yeah,
they're expensive, And if I was like bashing in the forest, and they just keep popping, and so I was like, okay, I need a better antenna that's more durable. And he was like, oh, I'm making this
that's
matchstick.
exactly why I love them. I was gonna get to that, and then you just took the words out of my mouth. You can give them feedback, and they're like, "That's fantastic. Here, I changed this. Try it. Let me know if it's better." And you're like, "What? You care?" Like, and it seems like they do that with everyone. Because with the DJI, mine kept popping out of the air unit, and I was like, "Hey, these are great, but I know you made this shorter so it wouldn't snap off." But every time I bump something, like I literally grazed the top of the barn like this and lost 2 antennas at the barn. I'm like, okay, that's a lot of money just gone, and I couldn't find them.
$40 like that,
right?
And Benuzo actually had a good question too about.
Then they went and made them longer, and they're like, try these, and they're not breaking off, they're not falling out. Freaking fantastic.
Yeah, and he's very, very, very receptive to like.
They want feedback.
Yeah, because I destroyed antennas, and he was like, why do you keep having to order every single month, and you're ordering the same antennas, and what is going on? And I was like, dude, they keep breaking, and like they're not broken, but if you take it and you like shake it, you could like hear a little rattle inside. And he'd be like, well, I used to smash them with hammers in the shop and they're not breaking, like what are you doing? And then now I don't have that problem anymore. I don't know what he did, but it works.
Benuzo said, are you not worried about the long antenna getting stuck in your props?
Not in flight. And I'm not a turtler. Because
turtle mode just burns up motors.
Yeah, and like if it is, then you're chopping up antennas, and then so I mean no, it doesn't in flight. It doesn't move. It moves very easily like this, but like it's not going to happen while I'm flying. Yeah.
661 said long range pilots don't crash ever.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Is if you crashed, you really fucked up.
Well, you probably lost your shit,
Yeah.
especially if you're not running GPS.
Right.
Dude, I'm actually super excited about this. I thought it was going to be a full DRL talk. And
No.
this whole long range thing has been a subject of mine for like 2 weeks now, 3 weeks now, because of my total disappointment. So this is awesome. I appreciate it.
No, that's the thing is like I love talking about DRL and stuff too, but like I do other stuff than DRL.
What's something you have as an interest or a hobby or a passion that nobody knows that you wish they knew you did?
Oh gosh, that's a hard one.
A closet hobby?
Yeah,
a closet hobby.
Do I have any closet hobbies? I mean, well, I ski, I rock climb. I'm like an outdoorsy boy. That's like that's why I do long range, because like that's where I would hang out
Outdoors and
before
adrenaline
FPV anyways,
yeah.
and then
Mhm.
boom. I can't think of a closet hobby. I did just get, if you see right here, I got that last week. It's a racing wheel.
Oh, dope.
Like for a racing sim wheel thing. And that's been my current obsession. I bought it as a business expense because it's racing and I race.
That's hilarious.
But
that's fucking clever.
Mostly, I just wanted to buy a new toy for myself. So,
hey, sweetheart, guess what I'm buying?
Yeah. iRacing. It's like this car sim.
That's pretty neat.
But I mean, I'm sure it's got some kind of connection with the racing lines and
your Apex and all that stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
In other words, if the tax man comes, I will find an excuse.
Yeah. I can justify it one way or another.
That's awesome. Royal McKenzie says, "Do you even fish, bro?"
What's that?
He says, "Do you even fish, bro?" Because you said you're an outdoorsy boy.
Not
as much as I should. No.
Cool fun fact here. Royal's real previous name, he changed it to FPV.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually All Day I Dream About Fish.
Really?
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, I'm up in the Pacific Northwest, so I've done like some salmon fishing here and there, like trolling around and whatnot, and fishing out of the kayak, but I'm not an angler. I wouldn't consider myself an angler. No.
That's so funny.
Oh boy.
Let's see if anyone else has any other questions for you.
Yeah, what other random things could I talk about drone stuff?
So you live in Colorado, right?
No, I live in Seattle now.
Oh, in Seattle now?
Yeah, I'm up in Washington.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
dope.
my scenery is like
that's like actually
to
really close.
Yeah. So it's Gab and I live 2 hours away from each other.
Well, I'm only like 14 hours away, and
only.
So you're in Idaho?
Billings, Montana.
Montana. Oh, right.
Let's see.
That's a little further than 14 hours, isn't it?
Is it?
Because when I drove back home from Colorado to here, it was 24. It was 24 straight hours on the way out, and it was 32 on the way back because it was snowing.
I used to be able to get to Seattle from Butte, Montana, in 9 hours, 10 hours.
You must have been ripping, dude.
Well, we had no speed limit.
That's true, but now it's like 80, right?
Yeah, now it's 80.
It says 9 hours and 25 minutes from Butte to Seattle.
Yeah.
So you could.
It's 39 hours from Toronto.
That's a long ways.
Yeah, that's a not possible drive.
Yeah. But the problem is, so Gab and I can't fly together anymore. We used to train, like last year we were training together, we'd fly together, blah, 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 and the borders are closed.
Yeah, that sucks.
So, sucks.
So that actually brings me to a question. I know all the racers, back to the racing part, I know all the racers are like, y'all are cool together. Like you said, you go to the pub afterward, whatever.
Yeah.
Do your sponsors and stuff for these races care if you guys train together or anything like that, or are there specific rules against that?
Like for DRL specifically?
Yeah.
No. To them, that's part of the story. Even is like, oh, Gab and Jet train together, but they're mortal enemies on the track or whatever they say.
So they're okay with it keeping social.
Yeah,
then,
yeah, and I mean,
yeah.
because the FPV community is so small, you can't be enemies.
Yeah.
And that's now this year we've got like 4 or 5 dudes in the Midwest because we got Nub, Blake, we've got Evan, we've got Nurk, there's Fluxy, so they're all within a few hours of each other. And they're and Vanover lives up in Wisconsin or something during the winter, or summer, during the summer. So they're all like, there's 5 guys that all just go to each other's houses and train for an entire week. And I'm all the way up here in the Pacific Northwest, like, hey Gab, we should fly together because they're all training real hard.
Well, if I make it over,
yeah, we should go long range sometime.
hell yeah.
I was gonna say if the DRL stuff starts on Saturday, does that mean you have to do stuff Saturday, or how does it work on your end?
We've already been filming that. It airs on Saturday.
So you pre-film the races now. They air
Correct.
them afterwards, and then that's
Yes.
kind of how they're doing it until COVID passes? Or do you think this will be the whole season?
This is completely separate from the regular season. This is hey, we haven't been able to start filming yet because of COVID. Let's do something in the meantime. This is what we're doing in the meantime. Yeah.
So you're doing the virtual racing, right?
This is in no way a replacement. This is just a charity. Like, we're donating to COVID fund. I forget what it's called exactly. But yeah, it's a charity race that we're all doing to keep, so we can race while we're all stuck at home. Yeah.
So these simulator runs, are they, how do I explain it? Are they at all, in retrospect, like even remotely alike? I mean, as far as the racing in real life versus simulator?
The
The
emotional
feel, the
feeling,
look, all that stuff, yeah.
Of like competition is definitely the same. Like, you want to beat that guy and you're bummed when you lose or crash. In terms of like flying, it's like just different enough that it throws me off.
Yeah.
Like, there's no battery sag. That's a big one. Like, especially for the Racer 4s, battery management is a huge part of a DRL race. Because if you full throttle for a minute before that giant power loop at the end, you're gonna sag out and you're gonna get passed in the power loop, right? So you have to like let off the throttle for a couple seconds, let your battery bounce back so you can do that hard maneuver. Where in the sim you can just full throttle the whole time and no consequence, right?
Yeah.
So
does that affect you in real life then? Like, say if you were to go out there and just start ripping up with the Racer 4, would you have the full grasp of it, or would it take you a few to get reacclimated?
It's the other way.
It's the other way.
Simming helps me in real life, not in terms of flying, but in terms of like, I like to say like my neurons keep firing. Like, it keeps my reaction level high, and like I'm in the zone off the bat. Where when I go from real flying back to the sim, I'm like, whoa, and I can't fly at all.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense though, because
because intuitively I feel like I can pick up a drone and fly it, because we're all so used to the way they fly, right?
2 punches of throttle and you know how it works.
Right. And you're good to go. Like, sure, the rates you might need to take like a turn or two to get back into it, and then going back, it took me like an hour. Like, it takes me a while to get back into the sim mode.
That's cool. Good to know.
Yeah. But it's a really good tool. Like, if you're just starting out, man, there's nothing.
Have you tried the new Orca sim?
No, I haven't. I've tried the goggles. I haven't tried the sim.
How'd you like the goggles?
I personally, I like the concept and philosophy behind them. I don't like the goggles themselves. I have HGO2s. I bought those. I like the fact that they have this module and they have like the Wi-Fi thing and the streamability and like the software that can always be updated and they can add new features. And I love that because Fat Shark's method is like we release what we release and you get what you get and it sucks.
Yeah, pay again
Yeah,
soon.
yeah. And I
There's
don't
no
like that.
upgradability. Yeah.
But to me, the Fat Sharks just like looked crisper and cleaner. So I went with those. The foam, like I had to replace the foam because like everybody else, my eyelashes were touching the lenses, but
Oh, I hated that.
it is such an odd feeling. I've never experienced that before.
It feels like an ant crawling over
Yeah.
your eye.
Yeah. But I got like the newbie drone foam and fixed. So
See, Chronix was wearing his HD02s playing Sim the other day in the living room,
mm-hmm.
and he like took them off and he was like talking to me, and his nose was bleeding.
Oh, God.
And I was like, "What are you bleeding from?" And his goggles actually cut him right across the bridge of his nose just from wearing them playing Sim. And I was like, "You should have got DJI because DJI doesn't cut your face,
Yeah,
but
that's
he can't use it on
Was
Sim."
he sitting there for like 12 hours straight?
No, it was only like an hour and a bit.
Tell him to loosen
probably
the
wasn't-
strap.
He wasn't even moving. He was just doing this, playing Sim on the computer.
Did he like notice it was happening, or was this one of
No.
those like it
No,
took
like
it
he
off
took them
and then-
off, and I'm like, "Why is your nose bleeding?"
Jeez,
And he was like, "What are you talking about?" And he had a little cut and like a little bit of blood down his nose.
that's so.
It wasn't
metal.
like gushing, obviously,
Yeah,
but
still.
no, it cut him just sitting on his nose.
No, I haven't had that problem.
I think he said he ordered the newbie drone foam now.
Yeah, like that's a mandatory purchase for the HD02s.
Oh,
It's
you
the
just
newbie drone foam.
reminded me. I think that I ordered it and I didn't get it, but I may not have ordered it.
Speaking of ordering things and not getting them, Jake's package finally arrived 2 months late today.
Oh man, shipping has been rough because like I have like a little frame business and I ship stuff,
Yeah.
and specifically France.
See,
has
we're
been-
Canada. It's bad.
Right. For my experience with France was the worst because it's this black hole right now, and they were only allowing post office workers to work 2 days a week
Oh my
or
gosh.
something. So I had a guy that his frame took 2 months to get there,
Yep.
and I was like, "Hey man, like,
Well, this box I sent her, we paid for like 5 day shipping, like 60 extra
US
dollars,
dollars.
ugh.
Yeah.
and
priority
they
shipping.
guaranteed it for a certain day. It took a month just to get the guaranteed
It was
shipping
before
back.
COVID.
Jeez.
It was literally like 4 days before the COVID lockdown.
Oh, that's rough.
So if he had only mailed it 2 days before like he was supposed to, it would have been here on time. You know what?
So-
I'm just glad it came now because we thought it was lost. Like we had no idea it even existed anymore.
It was in LA for a month and a half.
Yeah.
just
I'm
hanging
surprised they
out,
didn't charge us rent.
just in customs. Yeah, that's for all international. I always do DHL. Like if I'm buying stuff, always DHL.
DHL is
international.
crap for Canada.
What? Oh.
We always have to pay customs on DHL.
Oh yeah, we don't.
always.
We're
Like,
supposed to pay in the U.S.
oh no, it's bad though. Like Rotoride sent me like a free frame or something to try, or free motors or whatever, right?
Mhm.
And I'm paying like $90 on it for customs. And you're like, why? Like it didn't cost anything, and it says it didn't cost shit. But
Wow.
Jake luckily didn't charge me customs. I was very
Yeah.
happy I didn't have to pay today at the post office.
That is lucky. That's
I probably would have sent it back.
I have that the yeah.
After 2 months, I'm not paying shit. You owe me money at that point. Like,
Pay up.
I want rent fees.
Right?
You could have used it on Sim this whole time, gotten better. We don't know what you're doing.
True. Sorry, I'm driving again. I'm
The
doing
guy,
that.
Yeah,
a lot of
you
people
drive.
are waiting, it says. Linuzo's waiting. His TBS package is stuck in Singapore. Tom
Yeah.
John's 6 weeks waiting on Impulse RC.
Yeah,
3 months for
it's
that TBS
kinda
package.
just is what it is. Like that's I'm answering emails about that every day where people are like, "Where's my package?" I'm like, "Hey, there's a global pandemic going on. Like,
Yeah.
you got it."
Oh, actually, yeah. I
That's
still haven't gotten
constant
my
online.
Yeah.
Why is
my
everyone sold
replacement
out?
receiver.
Everyone's selling out everywhere. People have to be more
Yeah.
patient in general. When is your frame coming back in stock?
Well, I have everything but the 5-inch in stock right now. So that's it's actually manufactured by TBS, and those boys move a little bit slower than the rest of the world. So you never know. I hope.
Well,
soon.
they can though. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how to really explain
So
it,
it
but
generally takes 2 months for them to manufacture for me.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I wish it was 2 weeks.
You probably have to pay them more, and
Yeah.
then they would.
Yeah, right. No, I'm good. I'll wait.
so
2
how much
weeks.
is your frame?
The 5" is $75, I think. I don't even know the prices of my frames. Yeah, $75 for the 5", 100 for the 7". They're a bit pricey, but
And then Uzo says, "Do you have
there's
the 7" in stock?"
7" is definitely in stock.
There you go.
Yeah. I have a boatload of those. Those are like my store is like right here. The inventory just out of frame. Yeah. But the funny thing is, like, everyone thinks I fly the 7" for all my long range flights, and I don't. Like, I
Do you
always
fly
my
your own
boat.
frames at all?
Yeah, I fly the
Okay,
5".
good.
I just don't ever pull the 7" out because I never go further than like 3 or 4 kilometers, and that's the only time I ever need it.
So that's dead
How many
cat
do you have
style,
in
right?
stock? Because
Yeah.
people are saying they're going to be ordering them this week when they
I
get
got plenty.
paid. There you go, guys.
I got plenty of 7". That's 7" is gay okay. And also, if people have heard about the practice rig, those are back in stock.
Yeah, someone said up earlier in the chat about a practice rig.
Yeah, I originally built it because I kept destroying Racer 4s when I was training, and I needed like just a honking tank of a frame that I could just bash for training. And then people wanted to buy it, so it's for sale now.
That's dope.
661 says he does long range with a 2.5".
That's the little guys actually fly really, really far for a really long time. Benson flies like a little Atom, which is a little 3".
That's
like,
insane.
up mountains.
I feel like the wind, just you'd get taken, you're done.
It does. That's half the fun,
The rescue mission, trying to find something that small too, that must be a needle in a haystack, especially on a mountain.
That would suck so bad.
Oh god, I can't imagine losing.
Needle, haystack, needle, haystack.
So Tom John wants to know what your number one FPV dream or bucket list item is that you're yet to achieve, specifically not race related.
Specifically, there's, in terms of bucket list locations, I have a dream location list. The many of them are illegal. So they would take a lot of work to actually get to fly properly. I want to go to Banff, fly Banff. Illegal. I want to fly the Dolomites in Italy.
It's illegal, but it's Canada. You're fine.
Right. Well, but I want to do it legally so that I can post it without ever feeling,
Yeah, that trouble again that you're protecting your brands
Plus,
from.
you can be like, "Ha, no fines involved."
Yeah, and look what I got to do, suckers! You can't do it, neener.
Yeah.
But so Dolomites in Italy, also illegal, but possible. There's the La Huasteca Mountains in Mexico, that if people don't know where that is, you should check that out. There's some guys who've actually flown that, and it looks really cool. It's these giant granite slabs, and they look like these... What's the dinosaur that has the big...
Stegosaurus.
Is that it? Stegosaurus?
Oh, no, I know what you're talking about.
Fan?
Is it the fan-like thing or the actual triangular?
The fan thing. Is that Stegosaurus?
No, I was thinking the one with the triangles.
Oh yeah, no. But anyways, or you could actually just look up La Huasteca Mountains instead of looking up a dinosaur first.
The Dimetrodon, is that it?
Oh,
a spine sail? I don't know. There's way too many.
But the La Huasteca Mountains it's these crazy granite slab slots. That looks really cool. I want to go fly that place in China that they filmed Avatar.
Oh, that'd be dope.
Yeah, that'd be a really cool spot. I want to fly Bryce Canyon in Utah. Because that'd be really cool and also super legal. Where else? Yeah, I mean, it's mostly just all of the cool, mountains of the world. that I also want to go to Patagonia.
What
probably
about
Peru.
Switzerland? Have you looked
Yeah.
into Switzerland?
I've flown in Switzerland.
Have you? Which one did you fly?
Nurk, Gab, and I spent a week crashing Gab's mom's house after a race that we had in Europe. And
That's,
that's dope.
so
hiked
cool.
around the mountains and flew and stuff. Yeah.
That's the only place I've really been in Europe was like Switzerland.
It's so
And I was there a
beautiful.
month camping and it was phenomenal.
Yeah, it blew my mind.
It's so
how-
clean and they're so
and how
friendly.
big they are. How
Yes.
big this the
And they're
scale,
everywhere.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
scale of the mountains there is just unbelievable.
Yeah, they make trees look small,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
micro.
Yeah. And I love how the land is all just like public use. They're like, yeah, as long as you're not a dick, anyone can go anywhere.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
super nice.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I like
A
hiking
little bit later, I'm
fog and
gonna
then a
message
cow.
you. I'm gonna message you one of the places on my list, and you should tell me if it's reachable.
I'm
But I'm
intrigued.
super scared to do it. I'm super scared to do it. I want to do it so bad, but I don't know. I don't
In terms of like technical or
range and stuff like that. What you would
Yeah.
plan out. I don't know if you do
Yeah,
you look at maps before you go do stuff.
yeah, generally. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, just one spot. One spot.
And like I hike a bit and I just bought an old 93 Land Cruiser, an FCJ80 that I'm building out as like an off-road rig so that I can get further into
smart.
places. That's it's one of these things where like long range FPV has now made me like buy a new car, a project car, and like all this other, there's always another money pit that you can fall into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should Royal McKenzie's asking if you've heard of the Beartooth Pass here in Montana. Yeah, it's
No.
a really cool place. Actually, I think it's in one of my videos. I did a lot of flying up there, but it probably wasn't nearly as long range as you'd be used to.
Well, so I actually generally don't fly that far. I normally fly like 2 kilometers
Okay.
or 3 kilometers, which is not very far. I like to hike in and be like right all up in there instead of flying like from the road. This looks cool. I'm like scrolling around Google. Like that's a lot of what I do too, is just scrolling around Google Earth.
Yeah,
Or-
Gardner
That's how
Lake up
Chronic's
there
found
is
the
freaking
train
gorgeous.
bridge that we fly now.
Yeah, it's a great way to find spots. Just like scrolling. Oh man, there's so much stuff out in your parts of the woods.
So much. We live like
God.
where I'm at right now is off of the Rocky Mountains. It's a little further away from the Rocky Mountains,
Mhm.
but you travel 3 hours west and you're literally on the Continental Divide.
Right,
You know?
right.
So
Oh man,
that's kinda where I wanna fly.
Beartooth Mountain is pretty absurd.
it's amazing.
That's crazy.
So are you looking at it right now like you want to fly it or you want to ski it? What comes
Uh,
first in your mind?
Well,
That's a
yeah.
good question, actually.
Well, so that's like a big part of something that like for me, a lot of the ski lines that I want to ski, like I want to fly too. It's both. It's everything, all the above. I'm like actually really intrigued with these mountains. They look incredible.
Dude, I will be your chauffeur.
It's like right on the border, huh? Wyoming.
Yeah. Dude, it's
That's
freaking
far.
gorgeous out there.
Yeah, because I know I've skied a bunch at like Big Sky in that area,
Nice.
but
And Big Sky is beautiful too.
yeah,
There's some areas up there that would be really cool. There's some cliffs I've flown and stuff like that out there. Not all the way up in Big Sky, but little south of Bozeman.
right. Man,
NYX wants to know what your preferred RX antenna placement is.
That's another one of those like do as I. So
Do as I say, not as I do.
Mhm. So mine is like shoved up front, like it's right here, and that is probably the absolute worst place you could put a quad antenna.
Someone actually posted recently that
Um,
it's been recommended to do the front because then when you're losing signal, you turn around,
Yeah,
it'll be
yeah.
stronger coming back.
Yeah, it's better than the back, absolutely. But it's
I actually
like
think I watched one of your videos saying
don't do this. Yeah, that was probably the Kevin video when Kevin and I, Stinger Swarm went flying in Las Vegas.
Okay, yeah.
So the problem with this is it's like fine when you're flying back to yourself, but if you're flying perpendicular to yourself, you have the null point pointed directly at you, and there's an arm blocking the way. So you'll fail safe, like almost guaranteed.
Negative right there.
So you can only fly away from yourself and turn around and then fly back. You can't fly side to side, or else your LQ drops like crazy. The best place to put it is just like on top in the front, like vertical, because then do the same tests with that we talked about with the VTEX, right? You take it and you spin it around at any point that you can't see it, you're gonna lose video.
Makes sense.
So yeah, so up top vertical, you can pretty much see it from all.
And then Do4 wants to know if he can. Why did that not stay up? He wants to know if he can pay extra for his signed super.
Just email me.
Put a note in your order.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I'll probably throw.
So you haven't let your championships go to your head. You're not charging for signatures yet.
No, I would never. No.
Dude, I'd totally be charging. I'd be like $1 a letter.
Yeah, $1 a letter.
Change
your name to something real long.
You have 3. You have like 70 letters.
Yeah.
Because yours is Jake's Drones Addictions. His is Jet. Much different price plan.
The apostrophe is free.
The apostrophe.
I'm kidding. That's
well,
horrible.
Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us.
Yeah, of course. It was
I don't
fun.
know if Jake has any final questions for you.
Dude, I got a billion questions.
You got anything,
but,
Jake?
Rapid fire.
I've got to hit the road.
Yeah, man, you've just been sitting in this McDonald's parking lot for the past hour and a half.
I know, now I'm in a gas station parking lot. I need to get an energy drink so I can drive home.
Moke. Moke is in Santa Rosa, California. And he still helps me with all the design stuff. Like, he's the one that does all the CAD work for the Super Gs and everything.
Dope.
So yeah. Moke is alive and well. Just not social mediaing anymore.
Well, dude, you rock, man. I love that we got acquainted here and everything, and I would love to pick your brain, fly with you.
Yeah.
Maybe if you come up and hit the Beartooth, or I go over there, maybe we can go fuck around with Rainier.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, that's super illegal also.
We're going to do one more question here.
Shit.
Because NYX had a good one, and I want you to help him with this, if you can. He says he has a 5-inch Super G, and he can't get rid of the arm swap. He can move them in and out. Do you have any tips?
It shouldn't have arm slop. I would say tighten the nut and screw more. It shouldn't have any slop. Like, mine are pretty solid. You might just need to, it depends on, are you using a nut driver? Because I see a lot of people using like pliers on the nut and try and tighten it, and that's never going to get it tight enough. You need to get like proper 5.5 mil driver and like crank it. Yeah. That's all I got.
Try that.
If not,
that's a final word of advice.
Yeah, if that doesn't work, shoot me an email. You could have just like carbon that's worn out on your arms or something, and we'll work it out. Yeah.
Sweet.
Thomas, no, next week's stream will not be a French stream because Jake does not speak French and je ne parle français bien. So that's not enough to get me through an interview with them. So no, Hugo's coming on to do the stream with us because he does speak some English, but Val unfortunately can't come because she said she doesn't speak enough English to do the interview. So sucks because I really wanted them both because they're such a great husband and wife team. But next week, unless there's a schedule change like this week, last minute, it will be True RC next week and Nurk the week after. But Nurk needs to let us know how his schedule goes.
I wish I could pick it up and just...
Jake, you can keep your own violin as you drive home slow. Oh, you're just gonna try and get your McDouble now, aren't you?
Yeah.
One of the guys called you out in the chat and said you were just waiting to go get a McDouble.
No. No. All right, guys. Well, y'all have a good night.
Yeah, it
Thank
sounds like
you.
Jake, go get me a cheeseburger.
Shut up. All right, guys. I'll see you later.
Later,
Bye,
dudes.
Jake. Thanks for coming out. And thanks, Jet. I'm going to end this stream
Yeah.
now anyway. See you guys next
Thanks
week.
so much,
Stay
Jet.
healthy.
Thanks, everybody.